All right, guys, welcome back to the FPL One Percenters Pod. It's great to see you guys. Hass, Hammer, welcome back, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
man.
Faraaz.
Brilliant. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. We're almost this close to having a full house, but we're gonna push one more week. Kazim is off on international break, celebrating the Derby victory. A bit too hard potentially. Before we go any further, we generally forget to say this until the end of the video. Please like and subscribe. And we've also set up a Telegram group chat, and please check that out. There's should be a link in the bio, and we just generally drop team lineups and sort of double game weeks and stuff that we come across over the game week, and just generally have discussion on there. So jump on that. That's quite cool. Before we go any further, we are brought to you by Footsapp. It's a fantastic app. Links are in the bio. Makes your football social gameplay experience a lot better. Guys, this has been another exciting game week. Has a monster haul. We all went with Salah captains. We were all disappointed, right? Fair enough to say, but all of us didn't come out with 90 points.
Yeah, you know what? Well, first of all, I haven't said it, but looking forward to a good chat today, lads. And yeah, 90 points after a Captain Salah flop, and I still ended up with 90. That was good. I think all of my guys returned except my goalkeeper and except Salah, so it worked out well. Souček, he picked up 9 points for me. I made the mistake of benching him a couple of weeks ago when he hit 15. This time I brought him in, and yeah, he did the business again. The man's unstoppable.
He scored. He didn't score a header as well. It was a great finish.
Yeah, it was a good finish. Yeah, on the ground. Yeah, it was a nice hit.
Nice.
And he almost had another too.
Yeah.
You know the panic when you see a player that's going to score and you don't have him, and then he goes on and he might score another.
Yeah.
It's nothing. It's not good. It's not good. But yeah, Hammer, how about yourself? Kazim had Justin on the bench. It was quite painful. You had him in your team, and he's helped you to quite a good game week, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think it was Justin and Antonio who did well for me. I got 76 points, so that's not too bad. But yeah, the wrong captain choice for the week with Salah.
Nice. And with generally looking back at this game week as well, City motoring on, clean sheets galore. I mean, I didn't get anything. I finally have the double City defense, very belatedly, but they did pay off with 12 points, kept my score respectable. And Gundogan still keeps putting up the numbers. Do we need to change our thinking around how he works, Hass?
Yeah, no, Gundogan. I mean, you know what? You've seen in the last couple of games with Jesus playing, he is playing a bit deeper, but he's playing on a Man City side, scoring lots of goals. He's on penalties from as far as we know, and he's 5.7. I mean, what could go wrong? Famous last word.
Yeah. Hammer, what are you saying about? Is he the best bet in a City team that's full of rotation risk?
I think he can still get rotated because it depends on what Pep wants to play, especially once the Champions League returns. But like I said, at 5.7, you can't really go wrong right now, especially since he's in form. But there's so many other options in midfield that if you did go somewhere else, no one would blame you really.
Yeah, true, because you could go, like we mentioned, Justin, you could go for one of the the Leicester midfielders who are returning quite well. Maddison's been returning. A lot of us were looking at Barnes, Maddison this week. Barnes was unlucky not to get points.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gundogan looks good. I made a great move by dropping Foden because, he didn't even play, right? And then I went for Zaha. Solid 1 pointer. So I'm 1 point better off than I would have been. I had enough funds to go for Rashford as well, which is the wounder, but has the United double up, even a triple up potentially, is looking. I mean, are we getting too excited by that 9-0 victory to think that you need Shaw, Rashford, and Bruno in? If I'm being, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I say Manchester United, they are looking good. They did have a couple of disappointing, results before this. You can't really judge them too much on this. I mean, even though they had to take their chances, they create the chances. They were playing against 10 men for most of the game, and as we've seen from Southampton before last year against Leicester, when they go down a man, they don't defend well. So, but fair play to them, sticking the ball in the back of the net. Wan-Bissaka got a goal and an assist, 17 points. That's unbelievable.
That's a bit of a monster. Hammer, I know you're itching to say something about United, so tell me, man.
No, the 9-0 was great, right? Anyone who had Rashford and Bruno, or if you had Cavani and Martial, you're living it this week. But I think if you're going forward, and we'll see it within the next few slides, but I think having a United defender is risky because they're not so good in defense. Like even against 10 men, they look like they might concede. So it's risky to have a defender, but the way Shaw is playing right now, the amount of time that he runs up and puts the ball in the box, it's worth having him in the lineup.
Yeah, true. He takes corners as well now, which is quite impressive.
And that's huge because Maguire seems to be getting on the end of quite a few of them too, so he might end up benefiting too.
Yeah, it is quite good. It's like we're getting the Maguire that we got at the World Cup for
maybe for
relatedly.
half of the season.
I know, could be nice. Speaking of one half of the season, are Spurs the biggest one-hit wonders? Or like just half-season wonders? What's happened? Is it Harry Kane? I know we'll get into it in slightly more detail. But yeah, disappointing again.
Yeah, again, and you know what? This was done before today's game, but they lost 1-0 at home. They lost 1-0 at home. They didn't look, too effective. Son bit subdued, but again, Chelsea, they've proven, like, even when Frank was there, their defense isn't too bad, right? So it was always going to be a tough game for them, but their numbers have dropped off, and Son's numbers have dropped off since Harry Kane has been out of the team.
Nice. And I was so sorry. How am I carry on, man?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say that, like, watching this game, I think it was the 89th minute when Son got his first chance. Right? And if Kane was there, I think keeping Kane in your team is not an issue because he just produces every week.
Yeah.
It's not Spurs really; it's just Kane. Like, as long as Kane's there, he's going to get a goal or two. But without him, there's no edge.
He's like the Danny Ings of. He's like similar. Like, you wouldn't have anyone else from Southampton. Like, they're heading down that route actually. Spurs, where they're like in Southampton last season, you wouldn't look at anyone else really, except him. Out of spite of the last 2 weeks of Reece James being sort of benched and just sort of not doing too well for me, I buried him at third bench this week. And so I was too far coming on at 2 points instead. So just to share that with you guys, because misery shared is misery halved. Liverpool lost again. Not much more to say. Salah didn't come through. Mane was still not fit, and I can see a lot of people who are like performing well. I mean, I know we are holding, but there's a lot of people who are performing well without holding Salah. Is that something in the future that we can look at as?
Yeah, you know what? Like, one return in 8 games. That's Salah right now, and that's crazy for somebody who's now 12.7 million.
Yeah.
And the way Liverpool are playing, they don't even look like they're going to create too much. I know they've played. He did get a big haul last week, and they look like they'll play well against teams that come out and play against them. But these teams that sit back, Liverpool are having problems breaking them down. So, and with all the other midfielders, like you mentioned, that are on form, there's so many other options where it'd free up some cash.
Are they trading on past glories? Son, Salah, Hammer, are these guys like sort of trading on their history and on their reputation with a lot of us FPL managers?
Well, they both did well at the beginning of the season, right? So we expected them to continue, and they've always been effective. I think with Salah, the reason I'd keep him in the squad is because he's capable of 2-3 goal games.
Yeah.
Like, when he plays well, he won't score just one goal. Like, he ends up scoring 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Right? So you want him in your squad, especially now with Kane out, KDB out. I think everyone has funds.
We're not tight on funds. Yeah, that's the other thing as well.
You can still have 4 good midfielders, 3 good strikers, and you can still keep Salah on your team. Right? So for that reason, I'd keep him, but especially with Mane out. But yeah, like I said, nobody can fault you when there's so many other midfielders doing well.
And between now and the end of the season, Son and Salah are going to have a good run of 3-4 games where they do bang them in. So it's just, can you catch that timing?
That's the timing. Yeah, you've got to catch them on the upswing, I guess. Guys, I'm going to introduce everyone to XGI, which is something that Hass has introduced us to this series. Expected goal involvement, right? It's something we look at, and it's essentially a combination of the expected goals and assists for players, right? And Hass, today we're looking at that.
Yeah, that's right. So I thought, last week we did a good deep dive on defenders, midfielders, strikers. Oh no, we're on. And
you wanted to fix you? Sorry, I did this last week as well, where I jumped I jumped the gun basically.
That's fine. We'll do a quick look at the fixtures. So these are the next 5 game weeks coming up. You can see there today they announced a few doubles. So Manchester City have a double, Burnley have a double, Everton have a double, Leeds have a double. So some things to look at. They're not the greatest doubles, but they're there. So you can look for players in that area. Man City got 2 games. They'll look good anyway. But the one interesting thing is, if you look at the fixture difficulty rating, that Palace still up there, and we talked about that last week, and that probably drove your move to get Zaha. And it on paper it's a good move, because if you look at their next fixtures, Leeds, Burnley, Brighton, and Fulham. So that's you can't get
Those are
better
good
fixtures
games.
than
Those
that.
are
Yeah.
points
Yeah.
potentially. Yeah,
But
yeah,
but
absolutely.
the interesting is Manchester City. Now you look at them: Liverpool, Tottenham, Everton, Arsenal. West Ham. These are not very good fixtures. And on the FDR, on the difficulty rating, they've got the worst fixtures.
Yeah, they're
So
not easy games because they had a really good run from 18 onwards. And
yeah,
also, just to point out, the fixtures in grey on this thing are either FA Cup or Champions League fixtures, right?
that's right. Yeah, just so you know when which teams have midweek games if
Yeah.
you're worrying about rotation on there. So it's interesting because some of the teams that had good fixtures are now getting bad fixtures. Some of the ones with bad fixtures are getting good fixtures. So this is the time where if you need to make some moves, you could probably jump on a few players. I mean, I wouldn't gamble too much, but if you bring in one or two players from these teams with good fixtures, then it could pay off and help your ranking.
Yeah, true. United have, I know they don't have a double announced just yet, but they have probably one of the best run of fixtures in terms of FPL points, with Everton next, then West Brom, Newcastle.
Yeah, it's three good games. I mean, Everton, they're not as good as they were earlier in the season, but West Brom and Newcastle, you could see some goals there for United.
I think I tipped them for top 4 at one point, Everton as well. So somewhere or the other, somewhere it's floating around somewhere online. I mentioned that Everton in the top 4.
Yeah.
Would you look? I mean, Nick Pope could be a shout as well. Hammer, what are your thoughts? I know we discussed this before coming on, but Brighton, Palace, Fulham, West Brom, could see 2 clean sheets out of that.
Yeah, especially because there's a double game week, right? So they have the Palace and Fulham games, so that's extra points. I think Nick Pope or Ben Mee, they're solid options from Burnley. I wouldn't go with their strikers. I think that you're only making that change if you have enough funds. The double game week games there are only 2 of them so far, right? Only 2 teams, or sorry, 4 teams, but 2 of them. And the issue is you have to focus on getting the right players and making sure that you're thinking about the next few weeks after that. Don't go and flood your team with City and Burnley and Everton, Fulham, and thinking I'm going to do well for the next 5 weeks.
Especially if you don't have a recourse as well, like a free hit in the future at some point. Because what we have to mention is all of these teams playing doubles over the next few weeks. At some point, they'll have to balance it out, and it's probably going to be game week 29. So in game week 29, if you don't have a free hit, there's going to be very few games. It's going to be like game week 18, but potentially worse, right?
Yeah, and it all depends on the FA Cup fixture. So we should find out before game week 24.
So the 10th of Feb is basically...
Yeah, after the 10th of Feb, we'll find out. Yeah.
Okay,
And
nice.
one thing when you talked about goalkeepers, like I was having a look, and you look at Chelsea's next 3, Sheffield United, Newcastle, Southampton, and Mendy, he's only 5.1. He's cheaper than Nick Pope, right? It's
That's not bad, actually.
Yeah. It's
That's
like you
a
want
good
to...
shot.
Yeah, because Chelsea defenders are all in the 5.7s and above, except Rudiger, who you could pick up for 4.5 right now, and he's started all 3 games.
Yeah, because Rudiger looks like one that's not going to be moved. He's played every single game.
Right.
Reece James is on. I'm selling him off for 5 minutes. Cheeky 5 minutes.
Yeah, I held on to Chilwell and he's done too.
Yeah, some good options.
Yeah, price-wise, Hammer, we've lost that value that we tried to make up with our game week 3 wildcards. But anyone else? Fulham with Everton and Burnley on a double as well. There is probably going to be a few more announced, right? As well, we should say that potentially. And when would those be? 26 is going to be a monster week.
Yeah, 26. So that's what I'm saying. After February 10th, you will know what game week 26 and game week 29 looks like.
Okay, but regardless, 24 is going to be on, right?
Yeah, 24 and 25. There's already those 5 fixtures that are in there.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, that's exciting. That's something to look forward to, something to plan to, something to build a rank for those of us who are sort of want to take some risks. And now we jump into XGI.
That's it. Yeah. So if you move into player, so this is player involvement. Okay, so here we are. So this is player involvement. I thought I'd do a deep dive, and this is all players, all positions. The last 6 game weeks. So what you're looking at there is, I've sorted it by the last column, which is minutes per expected goal involvement. So you can see out of all the players in the last 6 game weeks, Antonio, he's looking like he's getting the most expected goal involvement. And you look at minutes per chance. So every 25 minutes, there's a chance popping up for him. So that's, he's like getting 3-4 good chances a game. And he's got 2 goals and 3 assists to match. So, that's
quite impressive.
So he's getting, and we've seen he's been getting a lot of chances, but he hasn't been as clinical, as owners would like.
Yeah, a bit rusty as well.
Yeah, you see Mane and De Bruyne are both injured, so I wouldn't go there. But even Bruno's there, Sterling, Aubameyang, Saka, these guys are all there. But then you scroll down right to the bottom of that list, There's our man Bamford, right? Like, everybody wants to
Well,
hold him, but
yeah.
and he's getting a chance every 30 minutes, but his expected goal involvement, just based on, the sort of chances he's getting is quite high. So,
So he gets chances, but he doesn't finish them. Is that what that is? Or
yeah, and this is expected goal involvement. So expected goal involvement, like if you have a goal involvement, it doesn't mean you got one goal involvement, right? It's all based on percentages.
okay,
Yeah,
that makes
what
sense.
the chances are, right?
Yeah. So it depends, if you're getting a better chance, it's more expected goal involvement. That's the thing against and the per chance is just every chance.
Okay,
So
nice.
yeah,
Gundogan's floating around the middle as well. It's surprising to see like Gundogan in the midst of like Watkins, Martial. Son, fine, but he's just around Salah in terms of the amount of chances he's getting,
right.
which is
Yeah.
crazy.
It's funny because you look at his goal in the last game, right? Not the game they just played, but before that, he created it himself, right? He just went after it himself. So
Yeah,
it's
that's true.
like that he's sort of hustling right now. He keeps getting into the box and trying to get into the end of those crosses and goals. So I expect him to see him there because no one creates chances for him. He just ends up getting in and trying to take those chances.
True. Do you think another person that deserves a second look or more of a look is Saka, or someone who's been kind of overlooked?
So you know what? So I like Saka, and at 5.4, but then if you've got,
I'm just going to jump back so we can see the fixtures for Arsenal.
But the one thing I'd say about Saka at 5.4 is you have Gundogan at that price range. You've got Souček at that price range now, who's banging them in. And then I'd argue there's even at Leeds there's Rafinha who's doing well at the similar sort of price range. So Saka is a good option. He always looks lively when he's playing for Arsenal, but there's so many good players at that range.
That especially if you want them to start as well, right? So it's very likely this season that you can have a 5.5 mid starting, right? Because it gives you a lot of more options.
For sure.
Okay, that's quite exciting, and so it's good to see that the usual suspects are there, like Antonio, Bruno, Sterling, Oba as well, and Cavani surprisingly creates a lot of chances.
Is getting more chances. I think Bamford's the surprising one. I dropped him 2 weeks ago, and if I had seen this table, I would have justified dropping him. But then he scored a goal and 2 assists. I'd be careful.
Are we looking at XGI for teams?
Yeah, so next, if you go to the next one, so we've looked at players a lot, and now if you want to target teams, so this is stats, attacking stats for teams. So how many minutes per expected goal for each team? And you look at Manchester City, they're at the top. You'd expect that because they've got the least minutes per expected goal, and then right down at the bottom, Burnley expected 1 goal every 2 games, which is quite poor. And then you look at, right, and then even if you look at the minutes per chance that they create. Manchester City up there, Man United, of course, they'll be up there because they had so many chances against Southampton. But this is again the last 6 game weeks. So if you're trying to bring in players that attacking players, you'd want to look higher up this table because those are the teams that are making chances and expecting to get goals.
That is quite impressive, and these are the teams that we have been focused on. Sort of, but surprising to see that Brighton are quite high up and they have their players quite high up all of these tables. But we've kind of ignored them, or they don't finish their chances. But they just do generally play an attacking brand of football. Amma, what do you think?
No, they play really well, right? We've been saying it since the beginning. Like their style of play is attacking, but they don't have any strikers. Like nobody has a Mopé or a Trossard in their team right now. Because they just can't score the chances. They're creating them, but they can't score them. I think what's surprising here is West Brom, right? You look at their minutes per chance at 13.4, but their expected goals is like mid-range. So their minutes per chance is like second last technically.
Yeah.
But that means the chances they're creating are really good.
That's true. Props to Big Sam, but they looked so flat against Sheffield, to be honest.
What's nice too is your Zaha pick. It's falling down in second last place right now.
Don't say my Zaha pick, our Zaha pick.
That's true.
Almost has the Zaha pick as well, but he saw the light, or he saw this table before the deadline.
Because that's the thing. You look at the fixtures and you think, wow, that's 5 nice fixtures coming up for Palace. So I did have a look, but then I did look at their expected goal involvement, and I was just like, you know what, I can't take a risk.
I saw Newcastle. I saw this Newcastle away, and I saw the rain, and I was like, nah, I already knew that this is not the one for Zaha. To be honest, this is not his vibe at all. But okay, that's quite exciting. It gives a lot of direction to what you would want to do over the next few weeks as well, right? And we have one more for defense, similar, right?
Yeah. So
defensively.
if you go to the next slide, so this one again is team stats again. This is for the defense.
Wow.
The higher up that table you are, the better it is because the minutes per goal
That's
conceded is high. And you look at Manchester City, that's
that's mad. That's
yeah,
actually wild.
they're way ahead of everybody. And then look at the first column. I included that. But this is big chances conceded. So forget just chances, big chances. So
Yeah.
Manchester City don't concede big chances.
At
And
all.
yeah, like 327 minutes. That's crazy.
Wow. And they've been shifting around. They've been playing 3 at the back, 4 at the back,
Yeah.
Cancelo, like attacking brand of football still. It's not like he's figured it out. He's cracked the code over the last 8-10 games.
Yeah.
It has, and that's why. So if you're trying to bring in defenders, right? So we talked about Man City. They've got a really tough
Run,
3-4 games coming up. So if you need to look at alternatives, these you see the teams up there. We talked about Man United already. Liverpool, even though they're not scoring defensively, they seem to be fine. They've I think they've still kept 2 or 3 clean sheets in the last 5 or 6. So it's still looking okay.
Yeah, they have, and all of the new signings are going to be quite cheap as well, potentially. Brighton just representing all across the shop here, eh?
Yeah, that Sanchez, 4. I think it's 4 clean sheets in a row now, and then the last team to score was 5 games ago, and that was Manchester City, and Manchester City only scored 1.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
impressive. And he has sat on the bench for Kazim for those 4 game weeks as well.
Yeah.
Because we play the fixtures when you have 2 playing keepers. This
That's
is
it.
And what's funny is you had McCarthy playing, who's bottom of this table.
Yeah.
For all
I
4
heard,
games.
man.
I'm
It has,
sure.
I mean,
Yeah, I'm sure the 9 goals conceded dropped him quite far down on this list.
Yeah.
poor guy, man. I've held McCarthy all season. I think actually no, I've held him. I think 2 seasons in a row now. To be honest with you, but no, sorry, Pope last year. But moving on.
Yeah, I think what's funny too on this table is Spurs, right? Like the one thing you would associate with Mourinho is a good defense.
Yeah.
But he's like the bottom half of the table. He's almost at the bottom with Burnley, Leeds, West Brom, and Southampton. Like that's insane.
Honestly, and they look shaky today as well. Like with Dyer, the penalty. I didn't see it in real time, but it looked a bit clumsy. To be honest,
It was very clumsy. Yeah, he had no chance of winning the ball, and he was on the floor, and he just had a kick out at Werner.
Yeah.
Unnecessary. Yeah.
Strong ZFC Zacho. But yeah, it is. And at the back pass to Lloris.
Oh man.
Yeah. Crazy.
Mourinho had lived on that pass.
For those who don't know, that Hass is the reincarnate of John Terry on the pitch as well. So it's not just his FPL talents; it's football talents on the pitch as well. But moving on from that, guys, anything else to add on these defenders?
No, I think we give you the stats. You look at how they've been doing over the last 6. Look at the next 5-6 fixtures, and that should definitely help you make picks.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Moving on. We've gone. We're going for a bit of a quicker one today, so we'll just move through this quickly. This is fixtures for next week, and with these double game weeks coming up, we would roll our transfers if you can. If you have a playing 11, if you're happy with your squad, don't make luxury transfers if you can't. Wait and see if you want to make any trades. Right? Has what did you say to that?
Yeah, no, agreed. I the doubles that we mentioned, they aren't that great, but it's worth trying to target 1 or 2 of those to see what you can do because they get 2 games instead of 1. I mean, I rolled my transfer last week, so I have 2 transfers this week, so I'm going to have to make 1. So I will keep an eye on those doubles to see if I can get some value there.
Makes sense. And it makes the double game week more fun as well, right? If you're holding up more players.
Yeah, and you actually want to try and catch up or get some extra points, right? Like I said, don't force it. Don't go dropping a Bruno or Salah just to get like a Rafinha for 2 games, right? Be careful with what you do, but yeah, like keep your transfers if you have a front 11, and not just draw a caution here because Kazim's not here, and he brought in Cresswell this week and benched Justin. I just draw caution to that. Like he used the transfer even though he didn't need to, and he regretted it.
Yeah, it is quite painful. So it's drawing a balance at the end of the day, making sure that you're happy with the team going forward. And like Hass said, we provide you with the stats to back it up. Captaincy options wise, Bruno was on fire this week. They play Everton. What do you make of that, Hammer?
Yeah, I'm going for Bruno. I think even based on the stats we just saw, he's getting, I think, it was a chance every 22 minutes. So I'm sticking with Bruno, especially with Liverpool playing City and they're not conceding many chances.
Yeah, speaking of that, Liverpool playing City, Spurs play West Brom. Has would you look there at all?
Yeah, I would,
performing.
and because even though Spurs, the stats, they're mid-table based on their attacking stats, and today they didn't look too lively against Chelsea. But West Brom, I think they've conceded. I can't remember. I saw something.
You can see, I think 29 without reply or something like that.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's a huge number, and even they've conceded like
Yeah.
17 big chances over the last 3-4 games. It's
Yeah.
it's got the on paper. It could be a goal fest, and if there is a goal fest with Tottenham, it's Son's going to be involved. So if you have Son, I'd look at him, and even if you bring in Son, it's not a bad option because I know they've got West Brom this week. Then they do have a tougher game against Man City, but then I think after it's a game against I think it's Fulham or Newcastle, but it's a relatively
it
easy
eases
one.
up a little.
Yeah, so he's also a good option to bring in.
Because I was looking at dropping him for Zaha, but then went up from Foden. Quick shout out to Jesse Lingard, scoring a brace on his debut. Any other differentials that we should look out for, or keep it, or have with a view on the double game week? I guess that would be probably the best shot. I think we've covered a few there.
Yeah, and the thing with differentials is there's so many now. Like we talked about, there's so many budget players you could bring in. That there's 4 or 5 really good players. Yeah.
Shouts like that. Guys, anything else to add? Games on Saturday, so deadline on Saturday as well. Anything final to add before we jump off?
No, I think it's been good, and with the after the doubles get announced, then there'll be a lot more interesting moves that you could do.
Brilliant. Looking forward to it. It's been a fun few weeks of 2 deadlines a week, and it's been enjoyable seeing you guys twice in a week for the most part. Apologies we didn't have a show on the Monday. Hammer, any final thoughts?
No, just plan ahead. That's it. That's all I can say.
Brilliant. All right, guys. Been a pleasure as always.
All right. Thank you.
Good luck.